All right, hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Porter County Perspective. I'm your host, WDSO's News Director, Olivia Callaway, and this week my guests are Sara and Kim of Dunebrook. Thank you for joining us today. I'm looking forward to learning more about the Dunebrook organization.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks.
So could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So my name is Sara Hoyt, and I'm the Public Education Director at Dunebrook, and I have been there for almost 12 years.
My name's Kim Raker. I am the Public Education Coordinator for Dunebrook. I've been there, collectively, almost 10 years. I took about 7-year hiatus and went and worked for the Department of Child Services, and then came back.
All right. So can you tell our listeners a little bit about the organization, its missions, and what services it provides to the community?
Sure. So Dunebrook is a social service agency that provides prevention and intervention services to the community and families. So on the prevention side of it, we have a couple different programs. One program that we have is our Healthy Families program, which focuses on providing support to new parents, doing things like, teaching parenting classes, kind of helping them get into the groove of being a parent, helping them understand that parenting can be challenging and it can be stressful, and just basically being a support for that parent. We also have another educational program called Public Education, which is the program that Kim and I work for. And that is to provide educational programs in the school and the community, specifically focusing on abuse prevention education. Mm-hmm. So that is going into the schools, going to the community, and helping people understand what abuse is, how to recognize it, how to respond to it, but also more importantly, how to help people access help if that is something they've experienced. We also have another educational program that is the Parent and Family Education Program. And again, that focuses on supporting parents. This program focuses anywhere from newborns up until 18. So it's an educational program that helps parents kind of learn different parenting techniques that are supportive to their families and their children. And then we also have Prevent Child Abuse in LaPorte County. So what that is Dunebrook is a charter council for Prevent Child Abuse Indiana and LaPorte and Porter County. So that mainly focuses on finding the best ways to help at a community level work against child abuse. And then we also have another program covering kids, which focuses on assisting families and through the Medicaid process, so helping them get signed up for insurance. Mm-hmm. And then on the intervention side of it, we house one of Indiana's child advocacy centers. So what a child advocacy center is, it's a place where children and teens will come to do a formal forensic interview if there has been an allegation of abuse. So rather than having to go to maybe the police station or having to talk to multiple case managers, everybody will come to our facility and work together as a team to reduce the number of times that the child has to talk about the traumatic event, but also to get all the information that they need to possibly move into an investigation. And so there's probably about 30 child advocacy centers throughout Indiana, and we house one of them in Michigan City.
I see. So I think you briefly touched on it before, but what role do you guys play within the organization of Dunebrook?
Yeah, so Sara and I are part of the public education team. So we go into schools this year we started a preschool curriculum all the way through 12th grade. We teach about child safety. We teach students about the different types of abuse that can occur. We tell them, different things from internet safety to being aware of if a stranger comes up to them and asks them for personal information, or just recognizing, any type of abuse that can happen to them. We talk about safe relationships with the older students as well, understanding if they're in a situation where someone is making them feel unsafe, how to identify who a safe adult would be. And then on the community level, we do trainings. So we have a 2.5-hour training that we can offer. It's called Stewards of Children. It's run by Darkness to Light. And that is a training specifically designed to focus on child sexual abuse, mm-hmm. being able to recognize signs in students or individuals, children that community members are interacting with. It's good for continuing education credits as well. So social workers, doctors, those types of people who need those extra hours or continuing education credits, it would be good for that. And then we do Smaller trainings as well. We do we call it a disclosure training for staff and for really anyone in the community that is questioning how to make a report to DCS, Department of Child Services. And so that's more of a roughly 20-minute training that we offer, gives them just the information, the tools, because what we found is that normal everyday citizens have not had to make these reports in the past or may not know how to make that report or what questions would be asked. And so we just give them that extra tool of information to use. And then things like what we're going to offer this weekend, which is a internet safety training as well.
Mm-hmm. So how are the services provided by Dunebrook funded?
So we're primarily funded through grants, 3 different types of grants, which is private, public, and corporate grants. And then we also are funded through donations and fundraising events.
And who all benefits from the services Dunebrook provides?
I would say if you interact with a child on any level, you're going to benefit from services that we offer, whether it's directly, if you unfortunately know of a child that has been impacted and needs a forensic interview, or, if you are learning just how to help keep your community safe, or if you, are a grandparent or someone who has a guardianship over a child, we have a service that we could probably fit you into.
So, are the services provided by Dunebrook integrated into public education, or are they involved with other platforms?
Yeah, so specifically with our program, public education, our body safety program is something that we do annually within all the schools, public and private schools. And we're able to do that because of what we call Aaron's Law. Mm-hmm. So Aaron's Law is something that was passed in Indiana back in 2017. Also, 37 other states have it. And what that says is that all schools, kindergarten through 12th grade, are required to provide some kind of abuse prevention education every year to their students. So with the support of that Aaron's Law or No More Secrets, we're able to come in each year and do these presentations and, have that support from the schools to do it.
Mm-hmm. So I know April is Child Abuse Prevention Month. Can you tell us a little bit about what you guys have planned for April?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. We do some collaborative events that we're offering. So this Saturday on the 6th is the Internet Safety Training. It's at Westchester Public Library here in Chesterton at the Thomas Branch. And so that's about a 1-hour training from 10 to about 11:30. There's a bullying prevention forum discussion that's going to happen on Wednesday the 10th at Portage High School. That's from 9 to about 2. That is hosted by the Portage Exchange Club. There's a lunch provided. So that's just kind of a discussion about bullying prevention. We have locally at Dunebrook a mulch day that we're just asking if people are wanting to volunteer. We spread mulch throughout our site, and so it's kind of just a good way to get the community together. Kids are welcome to that. We include treats and things like that. We have a play group that Healthy Families is putting on the 16th. It's at the Health Foundation of LaPorte. They include Divine Yoga, Child Yoga, which is kind of a yoga incentive with the kids. It's a fun activity that they do, and that's at 10 o'clock. We also have an annual Blue Walk. So every year we do a walk to recognize victims that have been a part of child abuse. And so on Thursday, April 18th at 5:30, that's at the First United Methodist Church in LaPorte. There's going to be a speaker there. There's going to be refreshments at the church. So we do a walk through LaPorte and then end up back at the church for the refreshments. And that's at 5:30 p.m. There's also a forum there. We're doing the 34th annual IUN forum on child abuse and neglect. That's on Friday, April 19th. That's an all-day event. Starts at about 8:30, goes to about 4:30. And there's different speakers related to child abuse and neglect that will talk. And you can visit northwest.iu.edu to sign up for that and just search Forum Child Abuse and Neglect. And then nationwide, we have what's called a Healthy Kids Day on Saturday, April 20th from 10 to noon at the LaPorte Family YMCA that we're collaborating with for local organizations to help keep kids' bodies safe. They're going to have different discussions from people there. We also have a candlelight vigil for child abuse that's put on by Geminis Community Partners, which is an agency that we work closely with also. And that is on Wednesday, April 24th from 5 to 7. It's at LaPorte City Hall. They will light candles for victims that have passed away from child abuse. And then the last week of April, ALS in Michigan City is hosting what we call Give Back Week. So you can go in, you can make a small donation, and then put your name on like a little blue character, I believe. So they do that. And they post those up just as a community effort to raise money for Dunebrook.
I see. So why do you believe that Child Abuse Prevention Month is so important for people to know about?
I think there's a lot of reasons, but I think the most important is awareness. Unfortunately, child abuse is very prevalent. It's a difficult topic. It's hard to acknowledge that a child could experience any type of abuse or neglect. But it's important for us to bring awareness to it and to understand that every year, 3.6 million child abuse cases are reported. And of the kids that do experience abuse, they're 11% more likely to participate in some kind of criminal behavior. So it definitely, statistics show that kids that experience abuse, definitely experience barriers later on in life, especially into adulthood. So by talking about this, by bringing awareness to it, to celebrate and promote different resources that are out there that help families who are struggling at a higher risk to commit abuse, it's really important. And it's the way for us to help reduce the number of victims and also help those who are experiencing it or have experienced to get help.
So I know you mentioned some earlier, but can you share with us some statistics about child abuse in Indiana?
So one statistic that we always like to share in our presentations, especially the middle school, high school, and community level, is that 1 in 10 kids will experience some type of sexual abuse before they turn 18. And that's not just Indiana, that's a national statistic. And I think we can all really comprehend how many people that potentially impacts. It's pretty high. Unfortunately, Indiana ranks about number 2 in the nation for child abuse and neglect. And that last year alone, as many as over 17,000 calls were made to the abuse hotline. And of those 17,000, over 15,000 were referred for investigation. So again, it's not something that just Indiana faces. It's definitely a national crisis, national issue. But we've got some work to do in Indiana, for sure.
And what would you say is the key to bringing down those statistics?
Education and awareness are absolutely the key factors in reducing the number of victims and supporting those who have been victimized. Another really important statistic that we share, just because it is so powerful, is that 95% of abuse is preventable, and that is through education. So by having these sometimes uncomfortable conversations, by shedding light on things that, we may not want to acknowledge, we really do stand the chance of reducing the number of victims and, again, supporting those who have experienced it. So talk about it, listen, and just acknowledge that it exists.
So I know you mentioned it earlier, but what else can you tell us about the Child Advocacy Center?
Yeah, so our Child Advocacy Center, as Sara mentioned, we're one of a few in Indiana. We do over 400 interviews every year. So whether that be allegations of a child that's been in a neglectful situation or physical abuse or even sexual abuse, those are what those interviews kind of entail. It brings together what we call a multidisciplinary team. It includes law enforcement. It includes a representative from the Department of Child Services. And whoever needs to be a part of those interviews is able to sit in on those. The interviews take place at our location, which is a child-friendly environment. And because it's a child-friendly environment, the child does not feel the stress of having to walk into a police station or somewhere where, potentially one of the ones that's, attached to a jail. And so that intimidating factor of talking to a group of adults is reduced. They are typically given, time to get to know the interviewer a little bit in that child-friendly environment. And if you've been to our facility or if you want to come visit our facility, it's very child-friendly. We have drawings all over the walls. There's toys in the main room. So it does create more of a family feel. It's based out of what used to be a house. And so because of that, it limits the child's, it decreases their chance of not feeling like they're comfortable enough to share their story, which is what we want. We want them to feel open to sharing what happened to them in a child-friendly environment and feel that they're supported.
So how can those who are interested in getting involved in helping Dunebrook's missions do so, and what kind of volunteer opportunities do you guys have?
So, one of the best ways is just to look us up on the internet, dunebrook.org. It's pretty user-friendly and has, some tabs that can direct you to who you would want to speak to if you were interested in volunteering and let you know kind of what opportunities are available. Maggie Fritzen, she is our volunteer coordinator, so she is more than likely the person that you would talk to help, figure out what it is that, you're looking to do and what we have available. We always like to look at it as, we're matching up their talents and interests with our needs. So, it's something we want you to feel passionate about, and also, what we have available that can fulfill that. We also do, offering volunteering at different events that we're hosting or fundraising, or even something just as basic as clerical work, just coming in and sitting in our space and helping label books or, kind of organize. And then also we do a lot of interning for college students. So students who need an internship for, social work or psychology, that could definitely fit into what we are able to offer them in their internship.
I know we touched on it earlier, but can you tell us a little bit more about some of the programs Dunebrook offers?
Yeah, so as we mentioned, we have the Healthy Families of LaPorte County. We house that program. They work primarily with prenatal moms all the way up until the child turns 5. And so to enroll in that, you would have to either be pregnant or have just given birth. Moms have to enroll before the child is about 3 months old to be eligible for that program. So that program will follow the child all the way until they're 5. They get a weekly visitation person that will come out and visit with them, show them different things about child development, and just get to know the family over that time. You build a rapport after about 5 years together, obviously. And so it's just that extra support. And with that, they also offer, mom groups and things like that. So getting in touch with other maybe moms that you wouldn't have normally talked to in the community, because it takes a village to raise a child. And so we like to encourage that. And then our parent and family education program is kind of along those lines, but also kind of a next step. So if you have an older child, or maybe you didn't qualify for whatever reason for Healthy Families, you can enroll in that program. They will work with the family, even if you're a grandparent and you're just having questions about, kids that you're interacting with. It's a family-friendly parenting type of program. I don't like to call it parent education because that makes it sound like people don't know how to parent their kids, but it's more of like a support group for those families. So we do Zoom classes, so if it's easier for you to just jump online and do a class because your kids are in the background, we do those. We have some in-person classes as well. And there are also some classes geared towards specifically working with fathers, and then also people who are working through recovery. And so the best way would be to, again, get on our website to enroll in that program. You can reach out to Heather as the director at Dunebrook, and she would be able to kind of help facilitate which program would be best or which group to join. And then our Covering Kids program that assists family in the process of helping sign up for different medical insurances. So whether it's Medicaid or one of the other ones, sometimes that process can be daunting, and they don't always give you instructions on how to do that. And so we have a representative that is working with families in LaPorte. Probably soon here, we'll have one working with families in Porter County on that process and kind of just getting that going. So those are primarily our programs that kind of people would enroll in. And then if you're interested in a training for like a Stewards of Children training or another type of specific training for the public, you could contact either Sara or I, and we could get you information on that.
All right. Could you tell us a bit more about the Healthy Families program and what type of skills that entails?
Yeah, so with Healthy Families being a prevention program, the goal is to help the family, the parent, caregiver feel supported, to kind of normalize some of the stressors that they experience in parenting because it's difficult, and how to overcome those. So some of the things that they focus on is encouraging normal development in your baby, recognizing your baby's needs, their cues, caring for your baby's needs, and still managing to take care of your own. A big one that they really promote is if you can't take care of yourself, it's really difficult to take care of a baby and a child. So they really kind of help the families find that balance. What to expect as your baby's growing, making your home safe, so baby proofing, ways to continue your own education. So if, a parent's looking to acquire their GED or maybe enroll in some college or continuing education classes, they can definitely help with that. Budgeting and finances, child growth and development, effective discipline methods, bonding with your baby, and kind of locating community resources and support. And then, of course, one of the big ones that we really like to promote is that on your initial visit, we do bring a free pack and play. So you get a referral or you referred for the services. They'll come out and do an initial question, and then you get your free pack and play. And of course, as families continue to, meet with their family support worker, they earn points. And then those points they can turn in and come and shop at what we call our depot. So it's basically just like a little shop at our agency where, we have anything from wipes to diapers to toys, some clothing. So just basic parent family things that they're able to purchase with the points that they earn in their visits.
And about how many families would you say Dunebrook helps each year?
So it's hard to kind of pinpoint how many families. What we do know is that last year we served over 45,000 individuals. So that could have been, parents, caregivers, adults, students. So we just kind of put it in an umbrella as over 45,000 individuals were served with our services. We cover across 8 counties. Kim and I this year served over 100 preschools and schools. So that's kind of how we track our data for the individuals and families that we're servicing.
Mm. And how else does Dunebrook benefit our community?
I think just bringing knowledge and awareness to, what we know of a huge epidemic, which is child abuse. And so being able to raise that awareness in the community, bringing together agencies, having that discussion, tailoring events and things like that to figuring out, how do we potentially, hopefully one day, end this issue.
If somebody wanted to reach out to request services or refer somebody for services, what would they need to do?
So there's a few different ways. Of course, you can, visit our website. It has pretty self-explanatory on how to get in touch, how to get into a program that fits your needs. But also you can look on our Facebook page and just call. Our receptionist is incredibly informative and very friendly, and she will direct you to whatever you're looking for, which is great.
So I know you mentioned it earlier, but Dunebrook has an internet safety seminar coming up on April 6th. Could you guys tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the event's going to take place at the Thomas Branch of Westchester Public Library here in Chesterton. It's on April 6th, starts at about 10 o'clock, and we're going to cover different information on topics from digital dangers to things like cyberbullying. We're going to talk about digital safety. We're going to give some examples of some common apps and slang that are used nowadays. What we find is that 95% of parents are not aware of different terms or slang or even emojis that could be used that kids are using nowadays to talk about things. So just bringing that to light and bringing up different subjects like sextortion and being exposed kind of online and what those potential dangers are so that we can help kids in those situations if they find themselves in that type of situation.
So why do you feel like internet safety is important and pressing for parents to know about?
So what we know now is that internet safety is the 4th top ranked issue on the list of health concerns for U.S. children and teens. And because, especially since the pandemic, a lot more of predators, people that are seeking out to solicit kids or reach out to kids in those ways, they're doing it in those online forums, in those online discussions, whether it's by, creating a fake profile or tapping into a child who has been in a difficult situation. They're trying to find their victims because we're in an age of technology. They're being more tech savvy as well. So being able to share that information with the public in order to help protect our kids is key.
So can you give us a few tips for improving internet safety, like right now, that you could easily do?
Yeah, I think the first, what I always say in this presentation is to have open communication with your child. People tend to think that, we have these devices and it's easier to put a child on a phone or have them on their Chromebook, while we're waiting at the doctor's office or somewhere with headphones so that they don't hear, the child isn't blasting their YouTube videos or whatever they're watching. But having those conversations about that these are the ways that we know predators are reaching out. If someone reaches out to you, asks you for personal information, the first thing to do is talk to we call it a safe adult. So whether it's your parent, whether it's a teacher at school, someone you feel comfortable sharing that information with, because what that person is hoping is that no one will talk about it. Mm-hmm. And the secrecy is where things tend to fester. So having those conversations with kids, what we're going to talk about on Saturday also is creating what we call a digital contract with your child. So these are things that are appropriate for the child to do online. These are, websites or apps that you prefer they stay off of. What could be some rewards for them following directions? What could be some punishments if they choose to go down a different route? But I think the more we communicate with kids, with teens, with people who are using these sites and things like that, the less likely people will be to keep pursuing and potentially abusing kids.
So does Dunebrook have any other upcoming events that you'd like to mention?
We have 2 of our main fundraising events happen in September and October. The first one in September is what we call our Dragon Boat races. So it's a big event where teams get together and they race boats, these paddling boats. So it's a really fun, family-friendly event that happens in September. And then our other one in October is going to be celebrating Dunebrook's 35th anniversary. So we will be doing a celebration and gathering for that as well. So I would say just keep an eye out on our website or Facebook for further details.
All right. Is there anything else you'd like to share with listeners?
I don't think so. I think just being appreciative of, coming and doing interviews like this and the opportunity to talk about it. The support from the community is so important and so huge in being able to do what we do. So just very grateful and thankful for anybody that's listening today or anybody that has interest, to contact us to find out more about Dunebrook and what it could do for you and what you could do for them.
All right, once again, before we leave, could you remind us of the time and place of the seminar and where listeners can go for more information about Dunebrook?
Yeah, absolutely. So the seminar is going to take place at the Thomas branch of the Westchester Public Library in Chesterton. It's on April 6th, starting at 10 a.m. And if you need more information or have questions, our phone number we can be reached at is 219-874-0007. And our website is www.dunebrook.org.
All right, well, I think that's going to wrap things up for this week's edition of the Porter County Perspective. I wanted to thank you guys again for coming in today. This has been with Kim and Sara of Dunebrook, and I've been Olivia Callaway, WDSO's News Director. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.